In this video, we pick up with the listings under M, with the first being the Miller with 3 entries for tying bags. These knots are the bag knot, sack knot, and Miller's knot. Ashley says that these names are interchangeable. The next listing is the mountain climber. Ashley was asked by an official of a mountain climbing club to recommend a knot that could be used while climbing alone. A knot that could be spilled from below after the climber lowered themselves from a higher level would be needed. The following knots resulted from this request. The first is the Precipice Knot, which is a slippery hitch with an overhand knot added to the end. Ashley says all that is necessary is to select a precipice with a convenient tree, and after reaching the bottom, one could simply flirt the rope to free the hitched end. Ashley says this knot should be studied carefully and that the climber should leave it alone if lacking an innate understanding or feeling for knots. Sometimes heavy weights are let go with an eye splice and toggle. When applied to climbing, an extra spill line is required. Ashley says that there are a number of slipped hitches that may be used as climbing knots. The one in entry 393 is a modification of the timber hitch. It can be made fast around things such as a small tree, branch, or post. Ashley notes that the slipped loop should be nipped at the top of the branch. For a slipped half hitch, the nip should be at the top opposite the standing part. The slipped half hitch may also be slipped a second time and can be tied around an object that is larger than was mentioned for entry 393. Entry 396 shows a knot that may be tied around a fair-sized cylindrical object such as a tree branch. It is the most easily spilled of the knots mentioned for the mountain climber. The slip buntline hitch is better than any of the previous knots for tying to a large object. Entry 398 is a knot that is closely related to the previous, and Ashley states that it's secure and spills smoothly. Entry 399 is a knot that can be tied close to the ground around a clump of bushes and does not have to be drawn up snugly around the object. Ashley states, though, that a clump of bushes is a treacherous thing to tie to. For all of these knots, Ashley says to allow a good margin of safety by sticking a long slip loop. He also stresses the importance of practicing tying the knot correctly before using it when climbing. The next listing is a net maker. The Clove Hitch is the customary knot to tie the first tier of meshes to the headline of a net. A Cow Hitch is sometimes used for the same purpose. The mesh knot, which is sometimes called the fisherman's netting knot, is the ordinary way of tying the sheep end when it is made with a netting needle. The Martha's Vineyard method of tying the same knot is discussed in entry 403. It's mirrored, so the left and right sides are reversed from the mesh knot in 402. Reef knotting is sometimes used in fringe making and in nets that are made of material that is too heavy for a knitting needle. A method that is practiced with a needle is shown in entry 405. A reversed hitch or cow hitch is first tied and then capsized into a reef knot. Double overhand knots may be tied for making dip nets and drawn work fringes for canvas sea chest covers. The next and last listing for the ends is the nurse. The one entry included under this listing discusses tying a knot to the wrists and ankles of a delirious patient to keep them in a spread eagle position. This helps prevent exhaustion from constant turning. The packer comes next with one entry as well. The packer's knot is a knot that will hold the parcel snugly while the cord is being passed around another part of the parcel. The next listing is the Poacher. The Poacher's knot is a noose used in snaring various game. Nooses made of horsehair can be hitched to a staked-out anchor line for catching larks. The next listing would appear to be the Policeman, but it's not present in the book. It can be inferred from the following two entries that it should be the Policeman and that it was probably emitted in air. The first entry is a policeman's nippers, sometimes called twisters, which are twisted to a close fit around the wrist. The second and last entry for the Policeman is the handcuff knot. The next listing for the P's is the porter with one entry, which is the porter's knot. This consists of a loosely twisted grommet made of a large bandana or other cloth. This is used to dissipate the weight of carrying a burden on the head. Ashley says that even a novice can bear a difficult load with assurance and without the need of a steadying hand when using this. The prospector is the next and final listing for the P's. Entry 414 shows how to make up a pack using a square canvas. For securing a load to a pack animal, the load is first temporarily slung with a sling rope. This holds things in place while the hitch is being thrown with the lash rope. The double diamond hitch, also called the diamond hitch, is a method of pack lashing used by the cowboy, sheepherder, hunter, and prospector. This hitch is a lashing for two packs with a third riding load on top. The lash rope is either hitched or spliced to a ring on the end of the cinch. The rope is thrown over the animal's back and passed through the ring. It's then passed back and forth in a manner as shown in the images. After the hitch is made, it's tightened and the end of the lash rope is made fast with two or more half hitches. Two diamonds are formed when this hitch is completed, hence its name. The single diamond hitch is for two packs with no additional riding load. It forms a single diamond at the center. The next listing is a rigger, and here Ashley is specifically referring to a ship rigger. In finishing off a seizing, the ends are brought up between two turns. If the material is small stuff, a wall knot is tied, and if it's spun yarn, an overhand knot is tied. The lanyard knot is tied in the ends of shrouds and stay lanyards, and is used in setting up and securing standing rigging. A figure 8 knot is tied whenever a temporary stopper is needed and to prevent the unreeving of running rigging. A clove hitch is employed in rattling down rigging, and as a reminder from a previous video, the rattlins are the rope steps found on shrouds which allow for climbing rigging. The next listing is the rug maker. Entry 422 shows a Persian or Senna knot. The image on the right shows a knot when the pile of the rug is trimmed. The last entry for the rug maker is the Ghiordes or Turkish knot, with the image on the right again showing the knot when the pile is trimmed. The last entry for the R's in this video is the rush seat maker. Entry 424 discusses how the rush seat maker takes coarse marsh grass or rushes and twists them up by hand into long yarns. These yarns are then rounded around the chair to complete the seat. This concludes this video and all the listings up through the letter R. In the next video, we will pick up with the listings under the letter S.